Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here at Tank12. However you call me, I don't really care. And welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we're not going to be looking into the game. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of things that I actually saw the last 2 weeks, but I haven't been able to really look into more, directly because I was very busy with stuff. I still am very busy, but I'm going to be making some videos right now because the next couple of weeks there is probably going to be a shortage of videos since I will be back in the army. So yeah, I'm going to be producing one or two videos for the next week, maybe two more for the week after, but I'm not going to promise anything. I'm just going to try. You're going to see if they're coming out or not. Usually I will upload them on Tuesday and Friday, but I'll have to see. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is at the moment. Today, we just want to talk a little bit about the news. The last couple of weeks have been very interesting. I have opened a couple of tabs that we can take a closer look at. And the very first thing we're going to be looking into is definitely the World of Tanks main website. Now, the last two couple of weeks have been filled with a lot of information regarding update 1.51, the super test, the sandbox server, now the black market, the M10 RBF something reward um, mission, and a lot of other stuff as well. So I'm talking about NA. This is very important because on EU there are some differences. Certainly, there's something that I've just noticed previously because I thought you would be able to actually exchange your tier 8 premium tank on the North American server as well, but that is only possible on the EU server because there's an event going on right there. So keep that in mind. This is only for NA. And the very first thing I wanted to talk about is I wanted to have a little bit of a reevaluation of the black market and have a little bit of a review. To cut it short, if you don't know what the black market was, the black market was basically an event from Wargaming which no one really had on their radar. It was a week long where they sold very rare vehicles for credits and gold, sometimes for ludicrous amounts. But it was really interesting to see that some of the very rare tanks were sold, and people most certainly were able to buy them. Well, especially the people who have played Wolf Tanks for a long time and had quite a bit of accumulated wealth from the Christmas events, from playing the premium tanks all day long and just having nothing else to unlock anymore, and that is kind of cool. On the other hand, it was also a little bit of a way for wargaming to, kind of have a recon in the market to see how far they can push it. They sold some tier 10s for about 25 million credits for one. Now, keep in mind the usual tier 10 heavy, medium, light tank destroyer price is 6 million credits. So they sold it for over 4 times the worth that you usually do pay. But they were very special vehicles. Was it worth it? I think it was a nice event, but it didn't really cater to the players that maybe aren't as long in the game and don't have as many resources as older players. So I still think there is a bit of, you know, um, room to improve on. Now the question is, will Wargaming use this black market as one of those places where they can sell very overpowered tanks such as maybe the Object 907 or I don't know, other tier 10 tanks that are super overpowered and you can only get through Clan Wars. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to do that. I hope they're not going to, but I'm sure that the black market will return. It was a success for them, and people were kind of happy with it as well. I was I at the first, at first I was really excited, and then when I saw the lineup and the amount of tanks that were in and how fast they were out at the time that they released the vehicles, at like 5 a.m. Who the hell does that? It did cool off a little bit, but still cool event that could use some more fine tuning, in my opinion. Now, moving on, we have quite a bit of ground to cover today because there have been a lot of news. Now, boost your crew with crew books. This is going to be coming in 1.51. We also have the common tests right now, but that is not too interesting in my opinion. Actually, no, it is already. I think is it still running? I'm not sure, but the sandbox server is online. Now, previously I was a member of the sandbox server, but this time around I forgot to sign up, so I'm no longer in the sandbox roster, so I can't test it out. But I think there's anyhow a lock on what kind of content you can release from it. But talking about the sandbox server is a very important thing. Now, this is the big thing that has got me very interested in the sense of balancing. Now, Wargaming are currently testing the new special kind of premium ammo and how they are going to deal with it. And what they've come up with basically is, there are a couple of changes, shell damage and health changes for tier 10s. Now, previously we already talked about the tier 6 or tier 1 to tier 6 vehicles that will have more HP. This time around, they're trying out new ways of high HP for tier 10 tanks. And this is the roster they came up with. And this is really interesting because previously we all know that premium ammunition is a bit of an issue. We all know that Wargaming kind of, introduced premium ammunition at the beginning as a pay to win thing. Then they made them available for everyone, and basically now a lot of people are spamming premium ammunition instead of shooting the weak spots of the tanks. That makes very heavily armored tanks kind of useless because it doesn't matter if you have armor or not, they're still going to penetrate you. Best example for that would be the E100. Very flat turret, everyone is going through with high explosive anti-tank ammunition. But that is one of the things. Now they're doing a complete overhaul as it looks on the sandbox server, and I have no idea what's going on. As already mentioned, they will be, increasing the HP for the lower tiers, which is which is a good step for, at least in my opinion, because when you were a low tier vehicle, you were getting penetrated by high explosive shells quite easily, and they're also decreasing the damage, or at least that's what they said. They were decreasing the damage by 30%, up to 30%, while keeping the armor penetration values. So this time around, what they are trying to do with the tier 10 vehicles is they want to increase the HP of the vehicles. And what you can see right here is the numbers, how they increase it, and with that they're also increasing the shell damage. This is really awkward, and I'm not entirely sure why they're doing that, but you can see the mouse is supposedly getting 3550 HP. That's an increase of basically 18% in HP, and the damage output of the 120 millimeter cannon that you have is being increased by 37%. So like the increase right here, especially for the tank destroyers, is enormous, like 41%. And this gets me really kind of thinking, kind of I'm scratching my head right now because I'm not sure if this is the right way to go. We have gotten used to the HP pool of tier 10s for a very long time now, and I always thought that the HP was kind of balanced. When they're basically overhauling this entire thing right now for tier 10, the damage output for those vehicles as well, they have to rebalance tier 9s and tier 8s as well. Instead of making premium ammunition limited to a certain amount of shells that you can have in your tank, they're overhauling the entire system completely, and it's super weird. I don't know, they're making so much work, and basically they're unhinging the balancing act completely, and they're trying something completely new. Now, the sandbox server is a place where they can do that. Yes, and I think sandbox is very important. The feedback of the players is very important. But at the same time, it has got me a little bit worried. If you look at this, Yeah, this is crazy. You have 30% increases for tier 10 light tanks. Okay, they need a little bit of a buff. But if you look at the tank destroyers that get more HP and more damage, the Object 268 version 4, which always had very low, um, you know, 650 alpha damage for a tier 10 tank destroyer is not a lot. But getting 915, and if they don't increase the HP for tier 8s and tier 9s, you're going to be looking down the drain because they have to increase the HP for all the tanks now. And I'm not sure how this is going to roll. Also, with the tier 1 to tier 6 vehicles, they have to increase the HP probably for the tier 7 and the tier 8 ones so that you don't have tier 7 vehicles that have like the same amount of HP as a tier 6 tank. So, all in all, it's a very confusing kind of mess that we are in right now, at least how they are wanting to deal with special ammo, let's just call it premium ammo. And I'm not entirely sure how they're going to be doing it. We don't have enough information yet, but we have to look into that more correctly. And yeah, we have to look into it with a little bit more time. It's not finalized, nothing is finalized yet, but it still is a very important topic. Now, moving on, I don't want to keep this video for too long. I don't want to keep it as as a 30-minute video just talking about certain things that are coming in the future. They are bringing in a tier 8 premium Skoda, a tier 8 premium Czechoslovakian tank with an autoloader. Now that was already a given, and it looks like the T50. I'm not even sure the Skoda, the tier 9 version, just with probably worse gun, worse HP and all that stuff. But it has an auto loader in this vehicle. Very interesting because the tier 8 currently doesn't have an auto loader. That might break the tier 8 completely. You have a couple of styles right here. It looks very similar to the Skoda T50. Now, I have unlocked that vehicle and I'm going to be playing it very soon, but up until then, I don't know what that vehicle is going to be like. Now, in 1.51, we're also going to get new stats, a new stat screen where you can actually look into the 10 last games you had when you were playing, and all the stats will be listed, so no longer will you need a mod for that. And moving on to probably the most important news, or at least for me the most exciting one, is the upcoming new Frontlines map. And you can see it is going to be a winter kind of map, and it looks really interesting. I will always, as always, I will link everything in the description box below, and you can check it out for yourself. It's going to be the same basic concept, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then you have the gun turrets, or I'm not sure, it might be something else this time around. AA batteries or something like that. And yeah, the very interesting part about this map is that, first of all, it looks a lot more closed. So for light tank drivers, it's going to be a little more difficult to traverse the area. But still is large enough that you can still do some plays. There are a couple of rivers in the middle, like on the side as well. There's a little lake here, which you can probably drive through, and you have this little river crossing in between. There are a couple of bridges, and if you look from the top, you can see that there are several areas that look very different from one another. You have on a very open kind of place once more, probably very difficult to defend. I know, very difficult to attack because it's very open, very easy to get shots into that. B, with a couple of buildings in the middle and cover for both sides. And then like there's I'm not even sure, it looks like a gun positions right there, like AA batteries that are situated right next to each other, which you can use to shoot over on B. And on A, you also have this like little way over here, which might be like train tracks or something like that, where you can maybe shoot into A. Then you have on C a lot of buildings covering the objective, and it does seem to me that it's going to be the same kind of idea as before. one flag very difficult to capture, one flag in the intermediate area to capture for both sides, and one flag very easy to capture for the attacking side. And then it's going to change probably over here. On D, you have like rocky terrain. It looks like a coal mine, something along that line. And then you have on E a city complex or a factory where you're fighting somewhere inside. And then on F, you have a couple of buildings. And then you move on to the objectives. Now, this time around, it does look like the defending team does have more cover on the back than on the other map, where especially objective 5 was very out in the open, and it's going to be probably a lot more difficult to get to 5 and 1, or at least objective 5 and 3, than it is to get to objective 4 and 1, where you have quite a bit of space over here and you can actually shoot objective 4 from this area right here. But as always, I do think you should check it out for yourself. It looks really interesting, and what we're going to do right here is we're going to find the post again, probably, hopefully, because there were a couple of things that I wanted to talk about still more. It's not here. I will link everything in the description down below. I'm just going to keep this video maximum at about 20 minutes. Now, another thing that they did, they released the King Tiger C, which is a tier 7 premium tank, which you would get if you have like Twitch Prime. A lot of people do have Twitch Prime in the United States. So, I mean, okay, it's quite nice for the people who do have Twitch Prime. They get a free tier 7 premium tank. For me, on the other hand, I don't have Twitch Prime because I don't have Amazon. I don't have Amazon Prime or Pro, whatever it's called. So I can't buy this vehicle, and I would like to test it out. I will probably make, a trial period and see if this tank is worth it. And then I'll make kind of a review based upon that. So keep on the lookout for that vehicle. It's going to be coming sometimes soon. Then we have Kharkov. Kharkov is also going to be implemented back into the game. It's going to be changed. They have taken a bit out of the historical accuracy a bit out for a better general gameplay, and I think that is a right move. Kharkov was very one-sided. No one went into the open field because it was very easy for one team to dominate the open field from the higher positions. The middle was always like the huge battleground, and if you were not in a heavy tank, you had quite a bit of a bad time. So I'm just going to refresh this page real fast because I want to see the changes right here as well. And since if I open one of these pictures, it's going to just disappear. So we're just going to click right here, and we're going to look into some of those pictures. Now, very first time, we're going to have an underground entryway. I'm not sure if we can get into it or if it's just like outside of the map and you can just look into it, but it would be really cool. This time around, like this would be like the ultimate heavy tank alley where the heavy tanks will brawl out. And you can see right here again, it's some kind of mine shaft where you can get into, or like a hangar, something like that, and where you are already safe, which is super cool. So no longer artillery blaming or shooting on top of you, and I have the feeling this is going to be a much more heavy tank friendly map and more of a tank destroyer friendly map. Then you have like these open areas where the town is. It looks very similar to Himmelsdorf from the side. That's going to be interesting to see, like the factory in the middle at, what was it, E or something like that? Yeah, it was E. And you can see like the coal towers. Really cool. Everything looks really nice. And I'm really excited for this map because we need something fresh. It looks just like some kind of ex-Soviet or Soviet town somewhere in the back, maybe in the Urals, and a lot of snow, a lot of industry, and a lot of air pollution. That's pretty neat. Probably a place you don't want to live at, but a place where you want to have some battles. Now, I will link the video as well, because right here you're going to get some information. It's not listed, so they haven't made it public. You can only get into you can only watch this video if you do have the link. I'll post it down below. So yeah, one of the last things I wanted to talk about, this is the rental system. I think, yeah, it's a bit, it's on the verge. I'm not sure if I like it or not, but I still have to get myself or make myself kind of look into it a little bit more and have like an opinion on it. But yeah, that's that. Then the return of tank rewards, which is also rather nice. If you play a couple of games, you're going to be able to maybe get some of these vehicles. Cromwell B, the Stridswagen M4257 or the T3485, and you just have to complete a certain amount of missions. And it's all the way to the end of June. And yeah, if you don't have any of those vehicles, obviously try it. It's free, just play the game, and you might end up with a couple of really cool tanks. I currently only have 10 tokens, and yeah, I will not be. No, actually, I have 110 tokens. I will need about, what is it, 750 to be able to unlock one of those vehicles. And I think per day you're going to get 1,300 to unlock one of the tier 6 premium tanks. And I think per day you can do like a couple of them, and you're going to be able to earn some of those rewards. That's pretty neat, and I really like it. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching. This was just a little bit of a news episode looking at some of the things that I did miss. And also a quick disclaimer, videos will probably in the next couple of weeks be a little bit delayed because I have my duties to fulfill, and up until then I will try to make some more videos, but I'm not going to promise anything. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.